This is TWiT.
Is Intel circling the drain?
Oh, boy.
So I referred to Intel earlier as the Eddie Haskell, I think, of the industry. And look, I like Pat Gelsinger. I kind of want this company to turn it around. I have not seen much of an indication that it is doing that or can do that. It's gotten something to the tune of $20 billion in handouts from the U.S. government. And its fab business, its foundry business, the chip making business, we now know lost $7 billion last year.
Oy.
On revenues that were down 31% from the previous year.
Wow.
So Intel, it's not his fault. I want to be super clear about this. I'm not blaming him, but under Pat Gelsinger has been he inherited this mess, right? He's doing it. It seems like it might be a sound strategy, but unfortunately under him, it's just been a constant series of promises that keep getting pushed out further and further every time. And like I said, I think we talked about this earlier today, but Intel just didn't get on the bus. And that was a lot of strategy mistakes on the part of previous leaders of the company. But
well, they thought they were the bus.
I feel like they might. I'm going to change it to boat now. They might have missed the boat. They might be over. I don't know.
The bus missed the boat, and that's bad news.
There's a rocket ship in here somewhere, and Intel doesn't even know.
It's the wrong
They're
direction.
still trying to rub two sticks together.
It's going the wrong way.
What are we talking about?
This is, though, I think it's a little bit of a comment on what Gelsinger wanted to do, which was to take it from an integrated design and manufacturing company to two separate businesses.
Sure.
And he did say in this quarterly report that he wants to report separately, and that's because one of the businesses, the one that makes chips, lost $7 billion last
put it over
year.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's.
I also wonder if the company organization means, could they look at fabbing somewhere else? Could the foundry business be getting other customers?
Well, that's, I think, his goal.
Right.
He even said, we want to make Apple's chips.
They hired a new CFO, and they we'll see. There are national security implications to the Intel stuff. I mean, all of our chips are made in Asia,
right?
And
there was just a big
if China
earthquake
invades
in Taiwan. They evacuated TSMC. Forget China, you got earthquakes.
Yeah.
I think it's prudent. That's why the CHIPS Act gave Intel so much money. Because
Apple is an interesting.
I don't know if Apple will do it. Yeah.
No, and I was going to say they're an interesting demonstration of the trouble with moving out of China, because they've been talking about this and trying to do it for years, and they have moved things to India and I think Vietnam. Companies are starting to talk about Mexico, which is kind of interesting, but it's a really slow process. It's not like Apple woke up one day and said, all right, we're switching all the iPhone stuff over to some other country. It's like, that didn't happen. So,
and the slow part's not building the fab, it's training the people. Right?
Yeah,
you just can't grow fab engineers overnight. It's not a button. They don't come from a vending machine. You have to teach them, and they have to learn. And those first operations are like the first clutch in your first car. You're not going to go very far. You're going to make some bad smells, right? Like it takes a lot to get the yields up where they need to be.
Right.
How's ARM's doing? Are they doing well?
They're doing great.
Okay.
As a platform or as a company?
Well, I mean, I remember
that
for a while that SoftBank wanted to have NVIDIA buy them, and then that got turned down, and it felt like SoftBank was trying to unload ARM.
They were. And now ARM is a sort of standalone company in the sense that there's a company called ARM Holdings that reports their earnings every quarter like a normal company. They've only been doing that for a couple of quarters now. Compared to these big chip makers, they're actually tiny. But remember that they essentially create designs which they then license, right? So I'm now looking at this, but their revenues in the most recent quarter that ended December 31st were under $1 billion, right? $824 million. So compared to these guys,
it's a tiny. Little, compared to NVIDIA,
but it's healthy and it's doing great.
NVIDIA is doing one particular thing. I mean, we also have to remember that the U.S. government was so worried about Intel that they forced Intel to license to AMD to make compatible alternative chips. Right. There's always been an awareness of the strategic importance of the CPU business. And yet they let the fabs go and let the training go, like let the pipeline to build up people to make do this kind of work. I mean, it's a decade of effort at least.
I was looking at the article I had written about ARM and their earnings back whenever that was, probably January. But there's you'll remember this when I say this. Their margins, 96%.
Nice.
Like, there's not a lot of overhead in this business.
Yeah, it's just they sit there, think of things, write it down, sell it.
Yeah, license out.
The other thing to know about this company is that the designs they licensed to others were shipped on 7.7 billion chipsets in that quarter alone.
Wow.
Right? Because this stuff is not just the devices we all know and love, like portable devices and smartphones and stuff. It's in everything. Like ARM, they're in data centers, they're in little car chipsets, and they're everywhere.
It's amazing.
Incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. Hey, it's me, Leo Laporte. I hope you've enjoyed this little snippet from Windows Weekly. If you want to see more and want to catch the whole show, you can subscribe in your favorite podcast client or visit our website, twit.tv/WW. And of course, there's links right below me.